All right, so we're going live. We should be live now. So welcome everybody to the First Look book review, book show with Julie, the book broad. Except for today, we're not doing a book review. So we have a fantastic guest to help you guys with talks, with speaking, with getting yourself, I'm getting myself all oriented as I've got my live stream going on one and making sure the audio is coming. So yes, we've got a fantastic guest for you today. So for regular viewers of the show, we've got your standard prizes, we've got Q&A time, and make sure that you say hello if you're watching this live stream live, because we also do draws for everybody who's here. But today we're going to be talking about speaking. And one of the main reasons that I thought this would be a great topic and a fantastic guest that we have for you today is because when I launched my book, I've talked quite openly about the fact that I had a training and education company, and my business doubled in the year after when that came out. And it was already a six-figure business. So my revenue doubled in the 12 months after my book came out. And the book really was the driving factor. But a big part of why my name grew and why the business grew was because I then started giving a lot of talks. And I think that books and talks go hand in hand. And it's hard to say, you know, if I just published the book, if my business would have grown as much. And it's really hard to say if I would have just tried to get speaking gigs, if I would have been as successful without the book. So for me, I really think they go hand in hand. And if you're at all interested in giving talks once your book comes out, or if you've already got a book out and you're trying to find new ways to promote it and get your name out there, then this is a fantastic session for you to be a part of. So hello, I'm just checking over here to make sure we've got some people. So hey Scott, hey Ron, welcome. Hey Jacqueline. So glad to have you guys all here. And if you've got questions, you can type them at any time. I've got a few things I'll ask Carol, and Carol's prepped a few things. Carol's our guest, by the way. I'll introduce her in a second. She's that really friendly, smiley face that's beside me. And Pierre Paul's here. Pierre Paul, you were supposed to email me with your address. That's why you didn't get your mug yet. So yeah, if you guys win a prize, you are supposed to send an email to team@booklaunchers.com with your mailing address. And yeah, I think I have your mailing address, Pierre Paul, but we still want to make sure we don't send it to the wrong place. So if you win, that's how you get your prize. So for those of you who will win prizes today, we have a couple cool prizes. We have some fantastic Book Launchers journals, so you can write down all those great notes for your next talk idea, for your next book idea. And of course, a staple of every writer and probably speaker too is a fantastic Book Launchers mug. All right.
You got all the swag going there, Julie. I love it.
I do. You know, I like to reward participation. I feel like a school teacher, but you know, people who comment on the day my videos come out, they get entered to win a prize because it makes my day. Right? It's like the payment for shooting videos and publishing them every Friday. So people who comment, I want to thank them because they're making me happy. And then people who show up live rather than waiting for the replay, I like to reward them for being here and sharing their afternoon or evening wherever they are. We have a few folks that are in Europe that like to tune in, like Kevin McGuire, and it's late for him. So, you know, there should be prizes for participation when you're staying up late.
Positive reinforcement.
That's right. That's right. And hello, Milton Jones. So you managed to get on the live stream. So thank you for staying on. He was there 20 minutes early, wondering where we were.
We're busy ironing out technical glitches.
That's right. Oh, I'm getting a note that you're a little muffled. The sound coming from you, a little muffled. Yeah. So I'll check my settings here. And if you can,
I have my fancy microphone it has a popper, and it's great for podcasts because people can't see me, but not so great for live video because I have to cover my mouth.
No?
But let me know if that's better.
Okay. Oh, hey, Joe. Nice to see you on here too. That's fantastic. So we'll just check to see. There's a little bit of a delay. So we tend to talk, and then about 10 to 15 seconds later, we'll see comments. So we'll see if that adjustment helped. So thank you for the heads up on that. Okay, so without further ado, let me introduce you to our fantastic guest. And I wrote some notes just so I don't miss anything. So our fantastic guest today is Carol Cox. And you know, I tell everybody that she's an expert speaking coach, but there's actually, when I went on your website, I was like, wow, there's even more stuff here than I knew that you did. And you know what? I don't even know where your bio is. Here we go. Carol Cox, podcaster, TEDx speaker, sought after presenter, and trainer on public speaking, branding, and leadership for women. It was the leadership for women part I didn't know you did training on that. So that's really cool. And all the testimonials on your website, a lot of them were from women who have had leadership training from you. So that's fantastic. I love it. She also teaches business and marketing classes at university. And this is the other thing I didn't know. During election season, she serves as a political analyst on TV news. I bet that's been really interesting.
Yes, well, I did it contractually in 2016. I was paid exclusive on one station here in Orlando, Florida, where I live. And so they kept me very busy, as you can imagine. 2016 election cycle, and I'm on the Democratic side, so I'm a Democratic political analyst, and then there's my counterpart, the Republican. And so we were very busy. 2018, I'm doing a little bit, not as much as I did in 2016 because business is ramping up and I don't have quite as much time, but I've always loved politics. So it's hard for me to resist jumping in at least a little bit.
Oh, that's interesting. I had no idea. So that's a fun side. So I was like, oh, I should be reading people's bios more often. That's great. So if you guys have questions for Carol on preparing talks, I've got some questions for her, but chime in at any time. I'll do my best to keep an eye on it. And that's why I'm looking right, because I have another screen set up on the right side so that I can check your questions and see who's there. And so if you have, so we're still getting general audio is low on Carol. I think it's levels. Okay. It might be me.
Okay.
I messed with things to try to fix. If you tuned in, I call it technical glitch free Tuesday because that's just my wish and my dream. but I messed with some of the settings to try to fix the audio lag that we had last time. So it could be me. It could be Carol. I will just make one quick adjustment on my side and see if that does anything. And if not, well, let's see. Okay. Try that. Go ahead, Carol.
Okay, so yeah, because I'm looking at my levels and I'm up all the way to the top on my input level. So if the viewers are still having a hard time listening to me, then I'm going to change to the mic on my earbuds and get rid of the fancy mic.
Okay.
So we'll just wait like a minute, and if people can let us know if the audio for me is now better or if it's still sounding muffled or low, then I'll switch over.
Okay, perfect. So while we wait for that, I've got a couple other bookkeeping. I've got a couple other housekeeping items. So I want to say a huge congratulations to Joe Fairless, who launched his book last week, Best Ever Apartment Syndication Book. He's done a fantastic job. And why I mention him, besides the fact that he's, one of Book Launcher's clients, I mention him because a lot of people are pricing their books lower and lower and lower these days. And I've put out a few videos talking about all the reasons why I don't think it's always a good idea. There are reasons to do it at times. But he's priced his book at $49.99 and he's selling incredibly well. And he's got a lot of 5-star reviews on Amazon. So it just goes to show you, if you're smart about the strategy, and now I just got a flicker of internet on here, it says the broadcast has been paused and it will resume. Sorry, guys. It's like me and technology. We're just not best friends. So thank you for sticking it out. So it's a great example of if you have an overall strategy for your book, just making sure that, you've planned this out and you've got a good reason for why you're pricing your book really low or why you're pricing it high or what you're pricing it at. Because success is created in you achieving your goals at the end. And I think that that's really, really important to keep in mind. And I won't get into all of Joe's strategies. That's his business. But I just want to point out that you can sell a lot of books and still price it at a high price point if it makes sense for your overall business. Congratulations, Joe. Also, we have our next writers retreat coming up on November 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So you can get details on that, booklaunchers.com/NOV, N-O-V, retreat. And this is you writing more in 2.5 days than you've probably written in 6 months. And that's really the testimonial we got from the majority of the people who were at our last writers retreat. So that'll give you some more information on that. Okay, minor buffer is still going. It's still low, but we can hear her. Audio's still low, slightly better. It's a bit better.
Okay, then I'm going to switch. I'm going to switch, and we'll see if this helps. Hold
Okay.
on. All right. This is, I was just talking to someone earlier today about the benefits of live broadcasting versus just like podcasting and, and then producing it. I don't know. I think I might be convinced on doing the podcasting and then producing it.
Yeah, but you miss the fun of everybody saying, hey, this isn't working. Hey, technology's failing us. And then somebody said, oh, see, now I'm split screen in the middle because Carol just completely disappeared. All right, so goodbye, Carol. All right. I don't know, guys. She'll be back. That's all I can say. So when she comes back, we'll be asking her some questions. So if you guys already have questions, go ahead and type them in. If you have questions about speaking. So one of the very first questions that I am going to open up for her and bring on is really, what does it take to create a great talk? Like, what are event organizers looking for when they book you to speak? So that's where I'm going to start with my questions. If you guys have other questions, just go ahead and type them in there. And I think she's back.
I am back. For some reason, doing that kicked me off of Zoom. Okay, see if my audio is better now.
It sounds like we're more
Good.
equal to me, but we'll see what everybody is saying, and
Okay.
we'll see how we do there. Okay, so I'm gonna even that out. Yeah, so I was just telling everybody the question I was gonna ask you, but you were gone.
You know what? But doing this is great practice for when you do go go to speaking engagements, and that's speaker. You never know what's going to happen. The technology may or may not work. You may be in a different room set up than you thought. The audience may be a little bit different, and you got to roll with it.
It's so true. I mean, no matter how many backups you have of your presentation, there can be situations where you just don't have slides. So, I always take a printed copy of my slides as well, because if all else fails, at least I can quickly refer to them. And the other thing that's happened to me is the mics don't work. So then you have to get everybody like as close to you as possible and project your voice. So yeah, technology, it's not just me, guys.
No, not to scare you away from speaking. Like most of the time, everything goes really great.
But you know what? It's actually more, if you're able to roll with that stuff, I actually think it works out better. You're more memorable and you build stronger rapport with the audiences when you can just go, oh my gosh, well, hey, let's make this work anyways. I've had the best successes from talks where that's happened. Not that I ever wish for things to go wrong, but yeah, these kind of things, you just kind of get used to things going wrong and rolling with it. All right, so this is Scott Bradley. Scott says, still low, but this will allow me to hone my eavesdropping skills.
No, I don't know what to do about it. It's so, like, if I shout, I'm gonna like.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm playing with it a little bit again, but I don't want to make myself so loud and you so quiet. So there we go. We'll see if that's any better. Okay, so Ron said no change, but please keep going. So we're gonna keep going.
Okay, all right. We appreciate you all hanging on.
Yeah, thank you. So I've got a question from Joe, but I'll start with the question that I was kind of leading into while we were waiting for you to come back. When somebody wants to get booked to speak, and this is a general question because I know every event organizer is looking for something specific, but generally speaking, what do people need to be thinking about so that they can create a talk that's going to get them booked to speak?
Yes, this is like the $1 million question, or $5,000 question, or whatever your speaking fee happens to be. So I did a podcast episode specifically about this, what big event organizers look for in speakers, but I'll give you what she told me because she runs an annual conference, is that it has to be really good content. And it has to be content that's going to be valuable to that specific audience. So event organizers don't want generic vanilla content. So content that you can just kind of go find anywhere. They want something that's unique to you, and then that's valuable to the audience. So that's number one. Number two is you have to be easy to work with, right? No divas. You have to be responsive, get the stuff in on time,
Yep.
deadlines, all that kind of stuff. And really the most important thing is that you should be a part of that community already, because that's really how they're going to find you. You can do speaking submissions. And I know, Julie, I'm sure you do this where you apply to conferences to speak. And a lot of times, if your topic is unique enough, or if it just happens to be that conference is really looking for someone on that topic, you'll get selected. But most of the time, you're going to get those speaking engagements because of relationships and the network that you've built and being part of a particular community. Because then they're going to refer you and they're going to see you be visible in different areas. And then they're going to approach you and invite you to speak. And so that's really the most effective way to get a lot of these speaking engagements. And a book that you mentioned early on, Julie, that the book and the speaking really went hand in hand for you as far as really contributing to building your business, doubling your revenue. The book is that calling card for a lot of speakers because it shows that you have something to say, that you have valuable content that you thought through in advance. You're not just getting up there and kind of just spouting random information. You have some type of process or something that you're going to take the audience through So that's really helpful to use that book as that kind of entryway, as that calling card for an event or a conference.
Yeah, and I didn't mention it, but there's kind of two other things that happened from my books. One was that the book became a way to get paid to speak from the organizations that don't necessarily have speakers budgets. So they might have a marketing budget or they might even have an education budget. And so they would buy books for everyone in the room. And so, just to keep math simple, say there's 100 people in the room, they pay me $20 per book. The books cost me like $4.50. So, just for easy math, that's about $1,500 in my pocket. Plus, that's $1,500 to get, basically they're paying me to now put my book, which is a great marketing tool for my business, in the hands of 100 ideal potential clients. So it's a really, really cool way to get paid to speak in those situations. And the other thing was that my second book, there was a chapter called "You Are Who Google Says You Are," and it was really about branding and making sure that you've handled your online profile. And people called me. I had two different organizations call me up and say, "Hey, listen, somebody gave me a copy of your book, and I see this chapter. Can you come to a workshop for our people?" And so that's another kind of way where books and talks go hand in hand. And I encourage people to always think about think about some of your chapters like they were talks. Like, what would be an engaging talk title for people to bring you in to speak? So this is why you don't want to do, and I always go back to real estate because that's my background, but this is why you don't want to go, how to calculate your ROI, right? Like snooze, nobody's going to want that. So think of something more interesting and engaging. So that's great.
Yes, exactly. And then also thinking about it as far as the different chapters in your book is a good way of approaching your presentation, because a lot of times when people come to me who have written books and they want to create a presentation, it's that their struggle is they have so much content.
Yeah.
Because they've written the book, they've thought through all of these things. So they have a 200-page book, but then how you can't possibly do all that in a 45-minute presentation. You couldn't even do that in a half-day workshop.
Yeah.
So then we have to work at it to figure out what are the essential elements that you need to share. Because if you do information overload, the audience can't absorb it. So you have to pick the most important pieces that's the most relevant to the audience that they can take action on. Like, what's the small, easy next step that they can take and share with them and teach them that from your book content.
Yeah, excellent. That's perfect. Okay, so a couple questions in. Joe says, do you recommend a speaker belong to one of those speaking bureaus or be a certified speaker? Good question, Joe.
So I am neither. So I'm not in part of a speakers bureau, and I'm not even sure what being a certified speaker would look like. I don't think you necessarily need that. Again, most of the time for most good speaking engagements, like those
I don't know about you guys, but Carol just froze up. Oh,
yeah.
there you go.
You just froze up on me, Julie. I just kept talking.
Okay. Well, last time it froze up for us, it didn't freeze up for them. So here's hoping. But next time it freezes, okay, I'm going to be like, hey, and just do a funny face.
So I was saying that, so if you belong into a speakers association, like there's the National Speakers Association, there's groups like that. If it feels like it's a good fit for you, because there are fees associated with it, and there's probably some other like attendance requirements. If it feels like a good fit, then do it. I don't do it because it's not what I need to be doing right now with my business. So look into it, but you don't have to do it. You don't have to be certified, and you don't have to be a part of a speakers bureau.
Yeah, I know a few really big professional speakers who travel around the world, and they've stayed away from the bureaus just because they didn't want to give them a cut of their talks. But it depends. Like, they're really good at their YouTube channels and building their profile. And, the one that I'm thinking of in particular, I think he's written 20 books. So he's pretty much putting out a book a year. He's, really, he puts out a YouTube video 2 or 3 a week. So he's really, really good at that. And I think, if you're not quite so strong on that side, then there might be value in these bureaus, helping you get your name out in some cases. So I think that's a great response. I've never gone that route myself. I've always found it, if you give a great talk, there's almost always another talk that comes out of it. And so it starts to really snowball from there. So it's really a matter of getting out there, which actually reminds me, I know a question that a lot of our clients have asked is, I've never given talks, so how do I get started? And I think I think that's a great question to ask you on their behalf.
So start locally. Start with your local community, your local network. Find a group that's related to whatever your topic is. So there's so many industry groups, industry associations, and organizations that have local chapters that you can find. Go to some of their meetings, attend some of their events, get to know them a little bit, and then let the organizers know that you have this topic that you think would be of value to their membership, to their audience, and you're happy to come speak to them. I do plenty of free speaking engagements. I have throughout my entire career, 20 plus years, because it's a great way to build relationships, brand awareness, and lead generation. So yes, it's great to get paid to speak. And if you're traveling far or there's other considerations, getting paid is fantastic. But I think that a lot of people feel like you should never do free, like never give things away, never do things for free. But I don't feel that way, because especially starting out, you have to build those relationships and you have to build that visibility. And plus, you just need to get better at presenting, better at your craft, better at sharing your content.
Yeah, and sometimes it's actually more comfortable to give a talk for free than when you're paid. There's like this pressure to perform when you're getting paid.
Yes.
So
that is so true. There's a couple of other ways though to get paid to speak. So Julie, you mentioned about book sales, which is an excellent way to do that because there's so many benefits as you talked about. Of course, you can just do a flat speaker's fee where they pay you X amount of dollars, and maybe they also do travel reimbursement for you. But some things that people don't think about is to do a revenue split. So if you have an organization, especially locally, that you can approach the organizers and say, okay, I want to do a workshop for your members, a 3-hour workshop or a half-day workshop for them on this topic. Can we do a revenue split? So a 50-50 revenue split. And the great thing about it is that organization is supplying the membership. So they're kind of supplying the audience. They're promoting it to their membership. And a lot of times they'll supply the venue, the space that you can hold a workshop in. And then, so they're promoting it, they're providing the venue. You show up and deliver the content, and then you agree on whatever to charge the attendees, and then you do a revenue split from there.
Yeah, that's a great one. And it's some organizations will do it and others won't, but it's a great for the organizations that are open to it. It can be a great scenario for you, especially if you have a really good market to message match, right? If the people in that room really need your services, then it can work really, really well. So that's great. Pierre Paul says, great advice, Carol, to stick to the essential content and try not to include too much in the talk. That's a big challenge, though. Yeah, Pierre Paul is a fantastic multifamily investing expert in Canada who has way more content than time to deliver. So I think that message hits home for him.
Yes, it's like because we're experts in what we do, and we feel like, can we just like brain dump everything that we know to the audience, because we know so much and we care about so much, but we as our human brains are we just can only absorb so many things. So I like to say stick to 3 main points, and then have some stories and examples and audience engagement activities for each of those 3 main points, and that's it. Because the more you try to layer on to a talk, the less people will remember.
Yeah. And an organizer, actually, it's interesting because if you finish early, organizers are almost always happy because there's speakers who go over that screw up their entire schedule. And that's a big, big problem and a big, big thing that organizers really don't like. So if you actually finish 5 minutes early, so you give a little bit less, not only do the attendees get more time to network and go to the bathroom, but the organizers love you. So you don't feel like you have to, over delivering is actually a bad thing in speaking, I think.
Yes, do not go over your time. People will not like you. No one will like you.
No,
over your time.
It's so true. Pierre Paul calls it expert syndrome.
Yes, no, it's true. It's right. We're so close to what we do.
Yeah. Well, while you guys are saying hello, if anybody's just tuned in, just to let you know, if you are live, make sure you say hello because we do have prizes at the end for everybody who participates. And if you missed Pierre Paul wondering where his mug is, you have to email us your address so that we remember and know where to send your swag when you win. And speaking of that, I'm going to draw for our YouTube commenters. So every Friday, I put out a brand new Book Launchers video at booklaunchers.tv. And if you comment on the day that video is released, you get entered to win a prize. And so every 2 weeks when we do these live streams, we draw a prize. And today, because I'm feeling super generous, I'm going to give you a choice. You can choose between the mug or the journal, whereas most days I tell you what I'm giving you. So today, it's your choice. And so I'm just going to do the draw. I've got all the names in here. So I'll look this way so you don't think that's rigged. And let's see, who do we have here? Oh, it's Elegant Spicy. So your YouTube channel name is Elegant Spicy. Send us an email with your mailing address, and you can let us know also if you want the fabulous journal or the fabulous book launchers mug. Yeah, there we go. Make sure the logo's showing. There. Oh, and just so you know, on the other side, it says hashtag no boring books.
and no boring presentations either.
Exactly. Nobody, and that's the other thing. I always tell people, the audience wants you to succeed. So if you fumble, it's okay because they want you to succeed because they don't want to sit there for 45 minutes and be bored. So they're cheering for you. So don't worry about them judging. They're actually sitting there going, okay, let's laugh. Let's have fun. Let's learn something.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm a big believer in having your presentation be a two-way dialogue with the audience, not you just spouting off content for 45 minutes straight. Really is pulling the audience in, asking them questions, getting them to raise their hands, getting them to stand up, getting them to reflect or jot down some ideas or notes as you're going along, because it helps with their attention span. It helps keeps them engaged, and it keeps it more relevant to them and how they can apply it to what they're doing. Julie, we met at PodFest, the podcasting conference earlier this year. I was speaking there, you were speaking there. I went to your session, and actually that's now how we built this relationship.
That's true.
Is because you were a speaker and I saw you. And that's another benefit of speaking, is because you end up building these relationships with other people's communities as well.
That's a great point. And that's actually how I know Pierre Paul. I mean, he and my husband at one point were in a mastermind group, but how he and I got to know each other was speaking at the various real estate events across Canada. So it's a very, very good example. And actually, I'll share a little tip that you gave me that is fantastic because so Carol actually suggested that I create little worksheets for my group. And it served two purposes. One is that engagement piece.
Right here.
There, yeah, see? There it is. So I follow these tips, I always recommend take action on the tips you learn. So she gave me that tip and I created it for the podcast movement that I spoke at in, I've lost track, June, July, sometime a few months ago. And I created that little worksheet and it was great. And interestingly, some of the feedback I got on some of the sheets. So at the back page, it has, if you want to sign up for our newsletter, you've got a spot to do that. Yeah, there you go. And a little bit of presentation feedback. And I had a few people say, give us more time to work on the worksheets. So again, if you're thinking more content, people want time to digest what you're sharing with them. So that was on a couple of the feedback forms. So I thought that was very interesting. Okay, I'm going to check. Yeah. All right. So Pierre Paul. Oh, hey, yay. Pierre Paul emailed the address. So there we go. And oh, yay. Elegant Spicy's Toledo. So congratulations, Toledo. We've got your address actually. So just let me know if you want the mug or the journal. Hey, Dale, welcome. We've had all kinds of technical fun without you here. So, so Dale Roberts is in the house. He has another fantastic channel on self-publishing and has helped me try to sort out some of these live streaming issues. And we've had trouble with our audio today, Dale. So maybe we can talk after and you can figure out why Carol was so quiet and I was so loud and, all that fun. All right. So if anybody else has any questions for Carol, let me know. Looks like we've now paused again. So if we are in fact paused, I'll just go like this.
I have no idea.
Oh no.
Okay. There's Julie, you're back.
I'm back.
Are we still streaming?
I don't know. It looks like it's hard to say. I'd say not. It looks like we're frozen in the screen.
You froze on me for a little while and then you left.
Yeah, no, it looks like it doesn't look like the Zoom is captured in here. So let me just yeah, I'm looking at the live stream. It looks like it ended. I don't know. I honestly don't understand this. Oh, there we go. Now we're back. I think we're back. I'm just looking at the screen over here to see if we're back on there, but we're back on my side. Sometimes it takes a couple seconds, but it might have ended on us.
I wonder.
It might have to.
it says, okay, now I'm on the Facebook page. for the video, and it says live video interrupted. The broadcast has been paused. It should resume shortly.
All right. Well, hopefully it does resume. It hasn't resumed on this side.
Oh, I think it's going again.
Is it?
Yes.
All right. So you guys are seeing us? Because I'm not seeing it on this side.
I just heard it, and it's about a 20-second or so delay.
Oh, okay. So it's really gone. It says, you're back. Okay. The video is frozen, but audio is going. All right. Great, guys. Okay. Well, we'll keep talking. You don't need to see us.
Yes.
I'm sure we're frozen in some fantastic street.
Oh, I am sure. Like, I know. I try to, when I go to stuff, I try to take pictures of speakers, like my friends who are speaking, and it's always like the weird mouth shape that they're doing. And so now I just, before they start, I make them pose like in front of the screen of the slide. I'm like, let me just take a nice picture of you before you start talking.
And that's actually, while we're talking about it, that's another great tip, because the more you want to speak, the more you want to have pictures of you speaking on social media and on your website. And it's almost impossible to get a great action shot. So you really do want somebody, either when you first go on or even just as you're getting off, it's nice to have the audience in the room. Not always possible because you're not always starting up there. So just do what you can. But yeah, it's useful to get some poses. I have a friend, Coach Deb Cole, and she gets on the stage and she just says, just a second. And she actually pauses so she can get a good picture.
No, it's a really good idea. The other thing is that get a little tripod for your phone. Yeah. And then at least set that up like towards the back of the room so you have an audience shot and then it can see you as well. So at least you can get some B-roll or some.
Yeah, that's a great pointer. Is the B-roll is so useful too if you want to create a demo reel. And do you recommend that? So while we're on the subject, do you recommend speakers create a demo reel, and how do you do it if you haven't done any talks or you don't have them video recorded right now?
Yeah, well, if you don't have any talks, you're not going to have a demo reel. So you just need to go do some of those free speaking engagements that we talked about earlier. Go to some of these groups and get some video of you doing it. Now, demo reels, they need to be short and they need to be super focused. You can't have a 20-minute demo reel and you can't have really long clips. It has to be super fast paced. That really, the most important thing I think is to show you sharing an idea, a concept. So, maybe like a 30-second. But audience reactions are really important. So laughter, a clapping, like when you're making a point, that's going to show that the audience is resonating with your content more than just whatever you're saying in the moment.
Yeah. And so that's where the B-roll is useful, because it's really hard to have it kind of spontaneously captured. So you kind of need something rolling and almost on the audience the whole time. Because otherwise you'll miss that. And I've had that where I've had people videoing me talking, the audience is laughing, but you're not seeing it. And you kind of need to see the faces of the audience to actually make it impactful. Hearing the laughter is okay. It's better than having no laughter, but it's almost like a laugh track, like the old fashioned laugh tracks in those TV shows. If you're not seeing the people, you're kind of like, oh, did they just insert that laugh in there?
Totally, yes. And so with some demo reels I've seen, I wondered if they did insert a laugh track.
Yeah. I think they probably have in some cases. All right, so let's just see. Just checking, just in case we lose the live stream. Here's the link you need. Yes. So I was just going to go there. So Carol has some a great resource or great resources on story structure and framework for talks and some of the stuff we haven't dove into at this point. So do you want to just tell them about that? And if you're on the Facebook live stream, Jacqueline's already posted the link. But yeah, tell us about what you've got for everyone to help them with their talks.
Yes, and I don't know if people can still see the video or if the video is going to be on YouTube. Who knows? But I'm going to do my show and tell anyways. So in the PDF, there's a story structure framework. So this is really great to use as the outline for your presentation. Instead of starting with a blank document or a blank slide, it gives you a guide as far as how to structure your content to make it engaging for your audience. So that's in the PDF. Also within the PDF is that feedback form, Julie, that you mentioned that you used at Podcast Movement. I use it for my speaking engagement. All of my clients use it. They get incredible results.
It was great.
From the feedback form, because it's also a lead generation device. Mm-hmm. So it's masked. I mean, it is a feedback form. Like you get really valuable content, but really the gold is in the lead generation checkboxes that are at the bottom. So a sample feedback form that you all can use and customize for your own speaking is in that PDF guide as well.
Yeah, it's excellent. So that, and like I said, it was not only did I get useful feedback, but I got a lot of emails to sign up for the newsletter that I would have missed otherwise. Because you think telling people your website and sending them to, they just don't do it. So if you have something right there that they can hand to you, they sign up, you're going to get way better response. Probably close to half of the room, you'll probably get email contact information from, in many cases, if not more. So Scott Bradley said, I started doing video of my podcast and cutting 2-minute clips for social media marketing. Would the same work for a talk?
Yes, you could absolutely do that. Take little clips from a talk that you've given and then share those on social media. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's perfect. And Pierre Paul said, great advice, Carol, about camera behind you. We'll try that next week for my talk in Vancouver. So good luck at your talk, Pierre Paul.
Yes, good luck. That's
yeah.
awesome.
And what's one question I haven't asked that you think everybody should know before we wrap up or freeze again?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. So I would say that think about when you're creating your presentation is what you're taking the audience on a journey. The audience is starting in their current situation where they're at, but they want something more. They want something better in their life, their business, their relationships, their health, their real estate investing, whatever it is that they happen to be, like that better vision that they want for themselves. How are they going to get there? They have obstacles in the way, challenges that are holding them up. You are the guide. You're like Obi-Wan Kenobi to Luke Skywalker. You're helping your audience get along their journey and get past those obstacles. And your content, your solutions, your process, your methodology is that way that you're going to help them along. So think about that for your content. It's going to make it much more relevant and relatable to your audience because they're going to see themselves on that journey and then remember, oh, that's how I get there. And now I need Julie in book launchers, or I need Pierre Paul in his real estate investing. I need that person to help me further along this journey.
Exactly. Yeah, that's fantastic advice. I love it. And if people follow your framework, they're going to be kind of led to creating exactly that. So that framework, again, that PDF, I don't know if I actually said the URL. It's in the Facebook stream, but in case you're watching this on YouTube, it should be in the comments in the video notes below. But it's speakingyourbrand.com, which is Carol's website. So if you want to connect with Carol, speakingyourbrand.com /book launchers. Correct? I got that right?
Yes. Correct. Okay. All together, book launchers. And then I also invite people to check out my podcast, which is also called Speaking Your Brand. There's lots of great episodes on all different elements and components of speaking. And Julie, you were on the podcast in episode 65. So that was a great interview. So I invite everyone to check out the podcast as well.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Definitely check it out. And thank you so much for being here and for putting up with all the technology fun, Technology Tuesday. And
that should be the
I know, right? And just on cue, I think you just froze up. So there we go. Now we have prizes. Again, we did a draw. So Jacqueline, behind the scenes, she's been taking down all of the notes. And, perfect. Scott Bradley was able to download it there. So that's great. And he just answered Pierre Paul's question as to where the PDF was because I hadn't given the link. I didn't think I had. So yeah, again, speakingyourbrand.com /book launchers. And for those of you who are here on the live stream, Jacqueline did a draw behind the scenes and she just sent me a note and it was Milton. I think, let me just check but so I don't get it wrong. It was Milton Jones is our winner. So thank you, Milton, for being here today and participating and saying hello. And all you need to do is email team@booklaunchers.com and let me know, do you want one of our fantastic mugs or our fantastic journals? I know it's going to be a tough choice, but you have to choose. And thank you again, Carol. It was fantastic to have you on the show. And when I eventually get all the technology glitches figured out, we'll have you back if you want to come back on the show and we can get into this a little bit more.
It would be my pleasure, Julie. And I know you're going to be coming into my Facebook group in a couple of weeks to do a live video. So fingers crossed, we'll see how that goes.
Well, at least you know that if things go wrong, I'm used to it.
Right? We're just gonna flow with it.
That's right. All right. Thanks everybody for being here, and thanks again, Carol. Take care. Oh, next live stream, everybody, is happening on Tuesday, October 2nd at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So hopefully see you again then. Bye.
Bye, everyone.